Hey guys, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm reviewing possibly the worst vehicle tier for tier in the game. It is the tier 6 British tank destroyer, the Churchill Gun Carrier. This vehicle has no mobility, it doesn't have very good DPM, it doesn't have very good armor, and it's on the chassis of a Churchill, which a lot of people truly hate because you can shoot it in the tracks, take the tracks off frontally, and also penetrate the hull. I'm going to show you how this tank stacks up compared to some of its tier 6 competition. Can we even say that this vehicle is in the running to be competitive with the other vehicles? And follow it up with some surprising gameplay. So without further ado, let's see if this vehicle truly is the stinker that a lot of people say it is. So firstly, let's compare the Churchill Gun Carrier to the other tier 6 British tank destroyer, the 88, the American turreted Hellcat, the German ever sneaky Nashorn, and the good old Soviet Su-100. So immediately we notice this vehicle doesn't exactly have impressive DPM, just slightly higher than the Hellcat and lower than the Su-100, which has the higher caliber gun. But of course, you've got to consider that the Hellcat has a fully traversable turret, so it's kind of branching the gap between medium tank and tank destroyer, and so that means that this is really bad for a tier 6 TD. However, one thing that doesn't suck about this tank is the penetration on its standard rounds. 220 is absolutely awesome and kicks all of the other vehicles into touch. So if you want to be completely free to play, then this might be the vehicle for you. However, when we add premium rounds onto all of the other tanks, we can see that this pretty much gets balanced out. The alpha damage of the 132 pound of main armament the Churchill uses was just increased to 280, which is way better than the 88, slightly better than the Hellcat and the Nashorn, but it pales compared to the Su-100's 122mm main armament, and so it definitely can't hold the title of some kind of horrific alpha beast. Next up, gun handling, 2.1 seconds aim time. Not bad for a gun that deals 280 damage with every shot. Not nearly as good as the other tier 6 tank destroyers, apart from the Su-100's 122mm. Accuracy wise, it's kind of the same story as well. Dispersion wise, when turning the gun, 0.16, only the Hellcat is worse than this, and of course that's because it has a fully traversable turret. But one thing that is quite nice is the gun depression. 10 degrees gives you the flexibility to work ridge lines, but just don't expect to be turning your gun to the left and to the right very much with 5 degrees. That is what's incredibly awkward about this tank. On low tier tank destroyers, I love to use camo nets and binoculars to try and extend that rather poor view range, and you just have to constantly make these micro adjustments. You've only got a 10-degree arc in which you can shoot, while other tank destroyers are even triple that at the same tier. Next up, mobility, and again, not really great news for this slug of a tank. 25 kilometers an hour forwards, 12 backwards, only slightly faster than the 88 and massively slower than all of the other vehicles in this comparison. And its power to weight ratio sucks. It's just over 8.5, worse than the 88 and massively worse than all of these other tanks. So if you'd expect a slow-moving tank to have incredible armor, well, that's not the case. 88.9 at its thickest on the front and 63.5 on the side. And we actually find out that its mid-plate here is only 38mm thick, which means it's going to get overmatched by a lot of guns that hit it. But that's even if it was able to pull off a ricochet, because look how much you have to angle the tank before that's even going to be the case. But you have to hide the most ridiculous kind of superstructure on this tank ever. It really is absolutely preposterous. And I'd say this is probably the most stupid looking ugly tank in the game, bar none, at least in my opinion. And all you can really do when trying to use this armor effectively is get on a ridgeline, use your 10 degrees of gun depression, and just wiggle and pray. But remember what I said about the Churchill hull, and that it actually extends all the way along the length of the tracks. The tracks go over the hull. And so this means that if somebody's below you, they can actually shoot up into your tracks. They'll damage the hull and also take the tracks off. One of the most frustrating things about playing the Churchills and the Black Prince. So maybe this is going to be like the TOG and the hit points are going to be a redeeming feature. No, 650, way worse than the 88. So how about the view range? 340 meters. Oh, come on, that's a little bit better than the 88. But even with binoculars, you're going to be quite limited unless you have an exceptionally skilled crew. But you know what? I think that's quite enough theory crafting. Let's see how this slug performs on the battlefield. So here we go, we're rolling out on Erlenberg. We are having to assault here, which I absolutely hate to do in my tank destroyers, especially my slow tank destroyers, right? It's going to take me half the battle to be able to get into position to attack one of the flanks on Erlenberg. Now, when I'm in my mid-tier games, I do prefer to attack along the west because I feel that less experienced players, especially towards the lower tiers, are going to make the crossover on the assault game mode, and then you can catch a lot of them in this location, and then eventually you can go and get some shots in around this area where a lot of people will love to camp. Whereas when you're playing at the high tiers, most people are either going to sit around here, or they're going to sit around here, or alternatively they're going to sit around here, and they create this triangle that can be immensely difficult to break, and that's why high tier Erlenberg, when you're attacking, you're definitely the underdog. When I'm high tier, I'll prefer to go over towards the east, maybe get in towards this location and try and attack along there, and as I think I'm a fast enough tank to be able to assault and then pull back and then try and assist the other flank. Basically what I'm trying to say is you should always try and kill tanks on the west if you can do so safely and you don't think you're going to get overwhelmed. And finally, the Churchill Gun Carrier makes it into position and bam! First kill of the game. Type 58 shut down. Reloading that 32 pounder. We lose a little bit of health to an M4. Okay, I guess that's a high explosive round from the 105mm. Why did that deal so little damage? I guess because it got absorbed into my tracks. Trying to look for the second shot. There you go, 272. Nice hit there, and I'm already thinking, wow, 623 damage. I'm probably already at an ace tanker in this vehicle, right? Wow. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but usually these tanks are incredibly easy to get ace tankers in, marks of excellence in as well if that's your kind of thing, because they're just played so badly, and when tanks are played badly, especially by players who maybe get in them and get frustrated and maybe play the occasional game in them and go, oh, I hate it, I'm going to skip this tank with my free experience, then it leaves it there as an easy thing to be able to pick up with regards to those achievement badges. Alright, so we managed to push forwards, and an SU-8 finishes off that M4 who put in 2 pesky high explosive rounds into us. And you know what, on a ridgeline like this, the tank, it's not a disaster. I mean, sure, it's a bit awkward because the gun is in the middle of the tank, or I don't even know, I'm not even feel like I should call this a tank. And you've got to watch out for the fact that you've got this huge structure above the gun. And so if you can see your opponents, then usually they've been able to see you for a while. It's a lot like this with the SU-100Y, the box tank. Whoa, there you go, PZSFL, 4C not feeling too happy about himself, and hey, the KV-1 shuts him down. Good stuff, and now we've got an ARL sitting in front of us. Oh yeah, I'll take that. Lovely. Oh, he penetrates us, and oh wow, you cannot take many hits inside your tier 6 TDs, can you? Oh no, I was hoping we'd finish him off there, but unfortunately we didn't, even though it was a high roll. Well, we did get quite lucky with that roll, 319. And it's just about hoping that he's not going to be able to get us. We try and fire a blind one there through those little shrubs in front of us, hoping that he's not going to be able to see us. We'll be able to finish off the ARL. Yes, there we go. Good stuff. 2 kills, 1,465 damage. I think you might be seeing where this is going. Even though this is a horrible slug of a tank, if you can aim reasonably well, as I missed the side of the Easy 8 there. Oh god, I kind of choked a little bit when I was talking about, oh yeah, if you can aim well, unlike me, well, at least I make it up for the second shot. But of course, this vehicle, its accuracy isn't bad, but it's not the best. You are going to be most effective sniping at long range with this tank, even though the view range is rather mediocre, so just don't expect to be spotting for yourself too much unless you are stationary with binoculars. Trying to feather out a shot on that Easy 8, are we going to be able to get him? Wow, look at all these heavies just sitting in the middle of the map. Very nice of them to do this. Make our life when we're assaulting a little easier. And there we go, bang, our 3rd kill of the game. So, I guess what this is showing is that even if you've got a horrible tank with horrible armor, not exactly the best gun at tier 6, but also not the worst gun at tier 6, with mediocre mobility, mediocre hit points, view range, a lot. But if you put it into position, you've got enough potatoes sitting in front of you and you get to shoot them one by one, you can start to have a bit of a game. But we've still got a lot of work cut out for us. We're only a couple of tanks ahead, and obviously the enemy team with those 2 self-propelled guns are going to be able to chill at the back and just wait for this one to develop. So I'm thinking, okay, we're not going to get any more free snacks in the middle of the map. Maybe we'll hit that OI experimental, but with 5 minutes left on the game and the fact that I'm a rather slow tank that's going to take a minute to be able to get into position to oversee the cap circle, it's time to start to press onwards, right? And that's something you really have to do with your slow tanks, and especially the British tank destroyers, which all of them are slow, and even the British heavies, right up until you can get the Conqueror. You're kind of going at 20 kilometers an hour the whole time. It's all about, oh, we tried to have a bit of a swing and a miss there at the OA experimental. It's all about knowing where you need to be before you need to be there. Now, while that's a great skill to have in World of Tanks, reading the map, understanding where you need to be, it's all the more important when you are in your slow tanks, and it can be make or break in tank destroyers like this. So we shoot the building down there. I thought that'd be quicker than maybe making it around it. Are we going to be able to hit the OA experimental with a second shot? Oh, I can't believe how bad the rate of fire is on this tank. The fact that this vehicle has lower alpha damage and lower DPM than an SU-100, arguably worse armor considering the SU-100 is more angled. Oh man, the list goes on when we think about it. And also the fact that the SU-100 is faster. I think you can see where I'm going with this, ladies and gentlemen. Nevertheless, the Churchill Gun Carrier carries its gun into position and we pick up our 4th kill. Now up to 2,000 damage in a tier 6 tank. But there are still 5 tanks left on the enemy team, and now under 4 minutes left, 40% of the game, and I can hear a tank rustling. I'm like, okay Panzer IV, please don't stay near me, buddy, because I'm really worried that he's going to get me shot by the tank destroyers. I don't think that my tank's got all that bad camo rating, and I know that their tank destroyers are going to sit around there. And as you can see, they actually do shoot the Panzer IV as well. I was kind of thinking, well, you can be the canary, right? Let's put the canary down into the mine, test the air a little bit, test the waters, and yeah, I'm sorry, Panzer IV, for doing that to you, buddy, but I guess I had to try and sneak across that bridge safely. I mean, this vehicle has enough disadvantages as it is without having a Panzer IV sitting behind you with probably rather mediocre camo rating, at least compared to this. Oh, I didn't look at the camo rating on this vehicle. Maybe it is awful. Getting you spotted and shot by those sneaky tank destroyers. I mean, in this scenario, the Su-85 can kill us if he's using that. Can use the 100mm on that tank, right? Or is it the 85mm that the vehicle uses? Either way, if it rolls high with the 85, it's still going to be able to take us out. I'm not even sure if that tank... No, I'm mistaken. That vehicle can use the 122mm derp, I believe. That filthy thing that you can put on the KV-1S, which is now tier 5, used to be the most overpowered tank in the game at tier 6. Quite funny to be talking about overpowered tanks while I'm probably playing one of the worst tanks tier for tier in the game. Hello, Su-85. Oh! Tasty 5th kill of the game. Now things are starting to look a little bit better, but with only 2 minutes and 20 seconds left on the cap, or should I say left on the game, I'm thinking about capping, right? So I'm hoping that that Panzer IV-H is going to make his way into the cap circle, or alternatively, that the Stridsvagn 74 is going to... I was trying to suggest to him that he hugs the edge of the map so that he doesn't expose himself to the tank destroyers and spots for me. And there you go, we've got some good synergy going here. Snake 10 in his tier 6 Swedish medium tank, spotting for the rather derpy tier 6 British tank destroyer that is now on a Top Gun. Ladies and gentlemen, 2,400 damage. This is a bit of a dream, but it's not over yet. There's the artillery. Are we going to hit him? Yeah, we are. Not too bad. Okay, 7 kills. There's no way we're getting a Radley Walters in this tank, right? If I get a Radley Walters in this tank, I don't know. Is there anything left to do in World of Tanks? Shall I just call it quits now? Shall I just hang up the 47,000 games that I've played? If I can pick up a Radley Walters here in the worst tank tier for tier in the game, is there anything left to do? Well, I'm just hoping that the Panzer IV and the Stridsvagn are going to make their way in. I was thinking about reversing into the cap circle, but I actually bait the S-35CA into shooting us so he lowers his camo rating enough that then we can pick him up. Great stuff. Sneaky use of the Churchill there, knowing that the tank destroyer or the artillery would swing and miss at us, and we enter the cap circle with over 50 seconds left, which would have given us enough time to cap out if the artillery, for example, had killed the Panzer IV. So, all in all, textbook plays here, really, in the Churchill Gun Carrier. Felt like I did everything that I could do with a tank that really feels that it's limiting you, and I would not recommend playing this tank many times in a row. Your sanity will truly be tested. So unsurprisingly, an ace tanker here, 1,308 base experience points. You know what, I think if we'd got about 735, that probably would have been an ace 2 in this tank. A Radley Walters medal for our 8 kills, and a high caliber for dealing 3,024 damage. And I don't think we fired any premium rounds here. So we make 40,000 credits profit. Not too bad. So does this mean the Churchill Gun Carrier is in fact the best tier 6 tank destroyer of all time, and you should race out right now, pick one up, and suddenly find a whole new way to play? Well, no, that's really not the case. This vehicle is soul destroying What you saw here was a combination of luck, knowing this map pretty much like the back of my hand now, and a fortunate situation for the vehicle. And when three things like this combine, then it can make even the worst tank look good. And so this means the server-wide win ratio of the Churchill Gun Carrier is, yeah, all the way down here. 58 out of 60 tier 10 tanks, just winning over 47% of its games on average. And what really cements this tank as a vehicle that only a masochist would pick is that its brother, the 88, has the second highest win ratio at tier 6, only surrounded by premium vehicles, which obviously very experienced players are going to be playing with exceptionally skilled crews. And what's even worse is the Churchill Gun Carrier is a completely optional tank. You don't even have to play it. Look, it's a way of going from the heavy tank tech tree over to the tank destroyer tech tree. And you'd have to get 49,000 experience inside a Churchill 1 to be able to get this tank, and I don't think anybody wants to play the Churchill 1 that much. You'd have to be absolutely mad. You could play the 88, one of the best tanks, at least with regards to armor and also with regards to win ratio in the game right now, and also get to enjoy playing the 82, which is a very sturdy tank and until recently was completely overpowered at tier 5. And so in conclusion, you'd have to be a very special snowflake to play the Churchill Gun Carrier. There's no reason to. You know what you're getting yourself in for. Wargaming have had the opportunity to buff this tank significantly, and they didn't touch it in the whole of the British tank destroyer tech tree. Rework, and I think the only reason why I play this tank is because you horrible ladies and gentlemen seem to love voting for it so much on the tank poll website and making me suffer when I play it. But you know, I felt pretty happy in this game that I kind of got my revenge on all of the people who were trying to troll me with the votes, right? But if you're the kind of person who wants to come home from a hard day's work and suffer playing an absolute turd of a tank, then look no further. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, but if you hated it, give it a thumbs down, and let me know in the comments what you think about the Churchill Gun Carrier. And do you think that it's not that bad? Maybe I'm completely missing the point here. And if this vehicle isn't the worst tank tier for tier in the game, what do you think is? And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.